Have you ever switched lenses and thought, why does this one feel so wide and this one so tight? Well, that's down to angle of view, and once you get it, you'll start framing your pictures with purpose, not guesswork. Today we're looking at one of the most misunderstood concepts in photography, angle of view. You'll learn what it is, how it changes with different lenses, and why your camera's sensor size changes the way your lens sees. We'll cover framing, creative control, and I've got an aha moment for you at the end that ties it all together, so stick around for that. This channel is here to help you stop guessing and start knowing what your camera's doing. When you understand the why behind your photo, your images improve much faster. And if you're looking to improve your knowledge, grab my ebook after the video, completely free when you sign up to my monthly newsletter. And the link's down there in the description for you after. Angle of view is how much of the scene your lens can see. It's measured in degrees from edge to edge. And it depends on two things: the focal length of your lens and the size of your camera sensor. Focal length is basically how far the light travels inside your lens to reach the sensor. It's measured in millimeters like 24mm, 50mm or 200mm. Shorter focal lengths like 16mm or 24mm give you a wider angle of view. They see more. Longer focal lengths like 100mm or 200mm give you a narrower angle of view and they zoom you in. Imagine your camera sensor is like a painted canvas inside a box. The lens projects the image onto that canvas. A big canvas, that's a full frame sensor. It can capture more of the image that the lens projects. A smaller canvas, or crop sensor, only records a central part of the image. It crops out the edges. A bit like projecting a movie onto a wall and then only photographing the middle of the screen. So the same lens on different sensors gives you a different angle of view. On a full frame sensor, a 50mm lens gives you about a 46-degree angle of view, and that's pretty close to how we see the world naturally in scale and perspective. That's why it's sometimes called a normal lens, because the photos look about right to our eyes. How about we think of it like this? Let's imagine your lens is a flashlight beam. A wide-angle lens is like a floodlight. It spreads out and illuminates a big area. A telephoto lens is like a spotlight. It shines narrow and far. So the angle of that beam, that's your angle of view. If angle of view is what the lens sees, framing is what you decide to include in the shot. A wide angle lets you include a lot of detail, but sometimes too much. Distractions can creep in. With a telephoto lens, you can focus tightly on the subject, isolate details and cut out clutter. But sometimes you lose context. So both what's in your frame and what you decide to leave out is totally down to you. So think of angle of view as your brush and framing as the stroke, if that makes any sense. This is where it really matters. If you want to move from just taking pictures to crafting images with intention and impact, understanding angle of view is your foundation. Every time you pick up your camera, you're making creative decisions, even if you're not aware of it yet. Angle of view isn't just about technical specifications, it's about choice. It's about your vision. Do you want your viewer to feel like they're standing in the scene with you? Or do you want them to focus on one single detail that tells the whole story? That decision starts with the angle of view you use. When you get to understand this, you stop feeling lost. You stop randomly changing lenses, hoping for the best. You start to see things differently. You start to plan. You start to feel in control. And that's where photography gets really exciting. You're not just pressing a button, you're directing attention, you're telling stories. Many beginners think they need better gear to improve, but often what they really need is understanding. And this angle of view stuff, it's one of the first major shifts in thinking that transform you from a beginner to a photographer who thinks like a visual storyteller. It's the kind of shift that makes you look at the world differently. You start noticing leading lines, open spaces, clean backgrounds, dynamic movement. You start seeing the frame before you even lift the camera. And that's where your photography really starts to take off. Wide, tight, or in between, the angle of view dictates what you can capture. For a group shot in a small room, maybe use a 24mm focal length. For a close-up portrait with a nice blurry background, go long, 85mm or maybe more. When you know your lens's field of view, you can move or reframe before you even lift the camera to your eye. You stop cropping in post so much and start framing with purpose and intention in camera. A wide-angle lens gives you context, space and energy. A telephoto lens gives you intimacy, simplicity and focus. Every lens tells a different story. An understanding angle of view lets you decide what that story is. Let's say you have someone walking down a street. At 24mm focal length, you get the whole street, the environment, movement. It feels immersive. At 200mm focal length, you just get the person, clean, focused, maybe even dramatic. And neither is right or wrong. They just say different things. They tell a different story. This is where lots of beginners get confused. The same lens will give you a different angle of view depending on the size of the sensor. For example, a 50mm lens on a full frame camera at natural eye level gives around a 46-degree angle of view. On a crop sensor, multiply that by 1.5 or 1.6 for Canon, and it behaves more like a 75mm or an 80mm lens, which is a much narrower angle. So, your 24mm lens on a crop sensor, it's not super wide, it's more like a 35mm. This is why you can follow a YouTube tutorial, use the same settings, and your shot looks completely different. The angle of view is shifted due to the sensor size. Understanding this helps you buy the right lens for your camera and know what to expect. Now here's the twist. Even if you keep the same focal length, where you stand can dramatically change the shot. Move in with a wide angle lens and you get exaggerated depth, foregrounds pop and backgrounds stretch. Step back with a long lens and you compress the space, flattening the background and making it feel more graphic. Zoom changes framing. Distance changes perspective. Use both. Experiment and see how it affects your pictures. This combination is how you take complete control of framing, depth and visual impact. So if this video helped you get a better understanding of angle of view, hit that like button, subscribe and let me know in the comments what's your go-to lens right now. Do you have a favourite focal length? Mine, for example, is 85mm for a portrait. I read and respond to everyone, so I'd love to hear from you. Maybe watch this one next, and remember to download your copy of my ebook below. That's it for this one. As always, thanks for watching, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.